Wow, so Cardano has been on an absolute rampage. But mark my words, what we've witnessed so far is nothing in comparison to what they will achieve going forward. And I promise you that if you watch this video all the way through, not only will you understand what exactly Cardano is, but even more importantly, you'll know exactly why I am beyond confident that it has 10 to 100x growth potential over the next 2 to 3 years. Plus, you'll also have a much deeper understanding of how the technology behind cryptocurrency actually works. So I did a tremendous amount of research to make this video for you guys, so I'd appreciate an early thumbs up. But with that being said, let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. Now on this channel, we mainly focus on identifying category disrupting companies early on because their stocks can yield us as investors massive returns. But the truth is that there are very few things on this entire planet that are more disruptive than cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology behind them. And just like the internet changed forever, the way we communicate and interact with the world, blockchain is about to do the same to the entire financial system. And if that sounds absurd to you, then just know this. It wasn't too long ago that millions upon millions of people thought that the internet was a fad that was going to fade away into obscurity. So all I'm trying to say is don't be so quick to write off a new technology because the last place you want to be is on the wrong side of history. Now the first thing you have to understand is that blockchain is the same technology behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and hundreds of other cryptocurrencies. And all a blockchain really is just a big database that is completely open for everyone to see. But what truly makes it so powerful and special is the fact that once any data has been recorded and added to the blockchain, it is near impossible to change it. But how does it work? Well, basically each block contains some data, a hash, and the hash of the previous block in the chain. And the purpose of a hash is very similar to how a fingerprint can be used to identify a person. The only difference is that a hash is used to identify the contents that are inside of a block. Also, hashes are always unique, just like there's no two fingerprints that are exactly the same. Now the data that goes inside of a block totally depends on the type of blockchain. So for example, on the Bitcoin blockchain, it stores details about a transaction inside of the block, such as who is the sender, who is the receiver, and how many Bitcoins are being sent. Now once a block is created and added to the chain, if you try to change or manipulate anything inside of that block, the hash will automatically change instantly. And if the fingerprint of a block changes, it is no longer the same block, and thus it would be rendered invalid by all the other blocks. Because remember, each block also contains the hash of the previous block in the chain. So any change whatsoever would cause it to be rejected, and it's this technique that makes a blockchain so secure. So simply put, blockchain is the technology that enables the very existence of cryptocurrency. But now let's talk about Cardano, which was created in 2015 by Charles Hoskinson, who also just so happens to be the co-founder of Ethereum. Now it's important to understand that Cardano is a blockchain platform, while ADA, otherwise known as ADA, is the native currency on the platform, and it's what we would call a third generation cryptocurrency. So to invest in Cardano, you would want to buy some ADA, which is currently trading for around $1.10. And keep this in mind because in just a little bit, we'll be going over 3 major catalysts in particular that are all fast approaching and that not many people are talking about or even realizing. And yet the combination of these catalysts could very likely send the price of ADA skyrocketing to more than $10 per ADA before the end of this year. But first, let's very quickly go over what sets Cardano apart from its earlier counterparts. So first, of course, came Bitcoin, which you're probably pretty familiar with by now, unless you've been living under a literal rock, because Bitcoin has been all the rage as of late. Founded in 2009 and has since seen its price go from being worth only a few pennies to now commanding over $50,000 for just one Bitcoin. And it is the closest equivalent that we have to digital gold, since Bitcoin is protected from inflation because there are only a finite amount of Bitcoin. And unlike fiat currency, in which the government can literally just create more money out of thin air by printing more money, there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin in circulation. And this is why huge public companies like Tesla have decided to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet in order to hedge against inflation. definition. So yes, Bitcoin is basically digital gold 2.0, but its use cases outside of being just a store of value are very limited because it's slow to transact and also extremely expensive, since mining just one Bitcoin requires a tremendous amount of electricity and computing power. So then came the second generation, Ethereum, which people often think is a currency like Bitcoin, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, Ethereum is more like a do-it-yourself platform where developers can create decentralized applications, also known as dApps, to do anything they want on top of the Ethereum network using what are called smart contracts. Now, smart contracts are like tiny computer programs that are stored inside of a blockchain, and these tiny computer programs store all of the terms of a contract inside, and they also automatically make sure that these terms are enforced. And dApps are decentralized because they are not controlled by a single person, not even the person who wrote the code for the app in the first place. And that's because once an app is deployed on the Ethereum network, which is hosted by thousands of different computers worldwide, it will run the code exactly as written, and no changes can be made once it's deployed. But now let's go over a real world example. So in order to get a taxi, most of us use apps like Uber or Lyft. And all that these platforms essentially do is connect passengers to drivers, and for doing so they charge us a fee. Well, what if you could just eliminate the need for these middlemen altogether? Well, with dApps, now we can do just that. Drivers could be easily connected to passengers, and once the destination is reached, the driver could be paid automatically thanks to a smart contract. And that's where the magic happens.
Finally gonna be official.
I can't believe we're doing this.
I know, we're so naughty.
So in a sense, you can think of Bitcoin as an app on your phone, but Ethereum is the entire app store itself. So while there's no question that Bitcoin is currently the most valuable cryptocurrency in terms of market cap, Ethereum is by far and away the most utilized blockchain platform because not only can you build apps on it, but it also supports a multitude of other cryptocurrencies that are built on top of it. In fact, the majority of cryptocurrencies on the market right now are ERC20 tokens, which means they are created and hosted on the Ethereum blockchain. Thus, Ethereum clearly has infinitely more use cases than Bitcoin, but Ethereum also unfortunately still suffers from many of the shortcomings that Bitcoin has. For example, it's extremely expensive for a developer to execute a smart contract on the Ethereum network. And that is largely because Ethereum, like Bitcoin, relies on a proof of work algorithm in order to secure their network. In simple terms, imagine millions of computers, otherwise known as nodes, competing all at the same time, trying to guess the answer to an extremely complicated mathematical puzzle. Now, these nodes are known as miners, and this process is called mining, which you've likely heard of before. And basically, whichever miner gets the right answer the fastest earns the right to mine the next block and validate the transactions. And in return, they get paid a certain amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum for their hard work. Yet this process is extremely inefficient because it wastes a ton of electricity, since there could literally be thousands of different miners competing against each other to solve the same puzzle, but only one will be awarded the right to mine the next block. And because of this, it is estimated that Bitcoin miners alone use more than 120 terawatt hours of power a year, which is more than the yearly power needs of entire countries such as Belgium, New Zealand, and Israel. But to be fair, neither the creator of Bitcoin or Ethereum could have ever possibly imagined or predicted in advance just how wide-scale the adoption of these new technologies would have ended up being. Thus why third-generation cryptocurrencies like ADA were created, in order to solve all of these problems and many more, with the benefit of hindsight. So Cardano is laser-focused on three main principles, which are scalability, interoperability, and sustainability. Now these may sound complicated at first, but don't worry, they're actually really simple. So we'll be going over these very quickly, and then we'll get into the really good stuff. So for scalability, Cardano realized that letting everyone compete against each other through mining is just flat out wasteful and not a very scalable solution because it's expensive and slow. So instead they implemented a protocol called proof of stake, which uses an election process in which one node is randomly chosen to validate the next block. Also, this system doesn't have miners, but instead has validators, and to become a validator, you must deposit a certain amount of coins into the network as stake. You can think of this as a security deposit, which helps ensure that validators stay honest and don't try to manipulate the system, because they will lose a part of their stake if they approve fraudulent transactions, meaning that as long as the stake that they could lose is larger than the reward from validating a new block, we can trust validators to do their job correctly, because if not, they lose more money than they gain. And this system is pretty ingenious because it utilizes humans' natural tendency to be greedy and to want to make more money in order to make their blockchain more secure. And not only has proof of stake been proven to be just as secure as proof of work, but also it makes the platform more decentralized, since validators are chosen at random, versus with proof of work, a handful of large mining pools can control a very large portion of the Bitcoin blockchain. But Cardano doesn't just stop there, because they're also setting out to solve another massive problem, and that is interoperability, or in other words, they want to become the internet of blockchain. And by that they mean a blockchain that can actually understand and work with other blockchains. Just think about it, right now there are literally thousands of cryptocurrencies that serve a plethora of different purposes and use cases. Thus there likely won't ever just be one coin that will rule them all. Yet right now, none of them can really talk to each other, but Cardano wants to fix that. Imagine being able to do things like exchanging Bitcoin for Ethereum without the need to use an expensive exchange or any middleman whatsoever. Also, banks and governments still have a hard time trusting cryptocurrencies, largely because their transactions don't have any metadata, such as who made the transaction and for what reason. Now of course this is sensitive information that not everyone wants to share, so Cardano gives its users the option, but not the requirement, to attach metadata to specific transactions, which could lead to easier and much faster adoption by the traditional banking sector. And last but not least, Cardano created a treasury that has now amassed almost $500 million to not only ensure its platform's sustainability, but to also fund continuous improvements and innovations for the Cardano protocol. But now let's get into the really good stuff, because there are 3 major catalysts in particular that are fast approaching and that have the potential to cause the price of ADA to more than 10x before the end of this year. So first, Cardano just unveiled today that their beta for smart contracts could be coming out as early as next month. Now at first this will only be for testing and experimentation purposes only, but the full release is now officially on track to be released this August. Which is absolutely huge news, because developers will now be able to finally deploy their own decentralized applications directly on the Cardano blockchain, making it a direct competitor to Ethereum. And I cannot stress enough just how much of a game changer this will be for Cardano, because it will drive a swarm of developers who are currently frustrated and at the mercy of Ethereum's high transaction fees, which on some days has equated to Ethereum collecting over $50 million in fees within just a 24-hour period. So you can be damn sure that these developers aren't too happy about having to pay those ridiculously high fees. Hell no! And that they will be definitely considering switching to the Cardano blockchain once smart contracts become available. And keep in mind that the more users that these developers bring, the more valuable ADA will become, thanks in large part to the network effect, which is a phenomenon where a product or service becomes more valuable the more users it gets. For example, just imagine for a second if YouTube only had a handful of content creators. Well, then the platform wouldn't be very valuable at all, because there wouldn't be much content to watch. So in reality, it's the thousands of absolutely incredible creators that upload millions of hours of captivating footage on a multitude of different topics, which then brings in more users, which brings in more ad revenue, and this in turn encourages even more creators to come to the platform. Thus, this chain effect is what really makes YouTube infinitely more valuable. And this very same network effect is the reason why the prices of both Bitcoin and Ethereum has absolutely skyrocketed over the past couple of years. And Cardano is well aware of this, and thus why they want to make the process as easy and seamless as possible for developers to transition over. Thus why the second major catalyst is the fact that they will soon be releasing an ERC20 converter, which will enable tokens that were built on the Ethereum network to be transferred to the Cardano blockchain within a matter of minutes, which is massive. Third, one of Cardano's biggest goals is to help modernize underdeveloped countries. You see, there are literally billions of people on this planet right now without any access to financial services whatsoever, such as loans, insurance, bonds, or even stocks. And this needs to change in order for these countries to make major progress. So Cardano basically wants to bank the unbanked. And they're starting with countries like Africa, which contrary to popular belief is not a poor continent. In fact, it has a tremendous amount of wealth and potential, but that money and resources are mostly trapped and not accessible due to the lack of infrastructure and the plethora of bad systems. And not only can the Cardano blockchain be utilized as a digital wallet, but even more importantly, their technology can also be used for identification purposes, fair elections, land registry, and even for collecting taxes, which are all essential functions for any thriving nation, but are unfortunately often nowhere to be found in underdeveloped countries. And Charles, similar to Elon Musk, is quite active on social media and often drops a plethora of clues.
This is a major deal, involves 5 million people, and it's a very substantial thing. We're ready on our side, but that government isn't quite ready to make that announcement.
So don't be surprised whatsoever if within the next couple of weeks we hear about a massive deal being struck between Cardano and a nation state of Africa that would bring millions of more users to the Cardano platform. And again, the more users, the more valuable the platform becomes. So guys, I am beyond bullish on Cardano's future potential, and if you're interested in buying some ADA, I personally recommend using Coinbase because they make it extremely easy to buy and sell dozens of different cryptocurrencies, and if you use my link in the description box below, they will even give you $10 completely for free when you deposit $100 or more into your account. Also, I've always been a huge proponent of not limiting yourself to only investing in stocks. In fact, just a few months ago, I alerted all of my Patreon subscribers that they should invest between 5 to 10% of their capital into Bitcoin back when Bitcoin was trading at under $12,000. Well, as we know, since then the value of Bitcoin has skyrocketed to well over $50,000 a coin, meaning that we have more than quadrupled our money in less than 6 months. So if you want to know exactly what I'm buying and when I'm buying it, whether it be cryptocurrency or stocks, then I have a massive update for you guys because we are officially opening back up signups to our 10K to 100K challenge. Also, this is literally one of the best times to join because there are a multitude of incredible stocks that are on sale right now, which is exactly why stock market corrections and market crashes present one of the greatest opportunities that you'll experience in your lifetime that can catapult you from where you are today to where you want to be. That is as long as you know how to capitalize on them. Now, for those of you who may have missed the announcement, I just recently started a brand new portfolio and funded it with $10,000. And no, we're not talking about some bullshit paper trading account. This is a real, brand new portfolio that was specifically created for this challenge, and where I'll be showing the exact steps that I would take if I had to start all over again from scratch, and with the goal to aggressively grow my capital as fast as possible to over $100,000 while only taking very calculated risk. So I am beyond excited for this challenge, and we'll even be mixing in some options trading with this as well. And all of this is available over on our Patreon. So if you're interested in joining the family and following us along this journey, this is your opportunity because signups will only be open for the next few days and then they will be completely closed for the rest of the month. And just to recap, membership not only helps support the channel but also includes exclusive benefits like access to our private Discord channel, exclusive content, plus you'll have 24/7 access to my entire $2 million stock portfolio. And on top of that, you'll also get access to my buy or sell signals, meaning you'll know every single stock I decide to buy right when I buy it, and you'll know exactly when I decide to sell my position. Now, if this is something that would interest you, or you're just curious and you want to know more information, simply click the link below, and I made a quick 3-minute video for you and posted it on my Patreon page that explains in depth not only the benefits of becoming a Patreon member, but also what our community is all about and what we want to accomplish with this platform. So I can't wait to work with you one-on-one, and I can't wait to grow this community to become one of the most impactful communities ever. And with that being said, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you. Now, if you found any value in this video at all, and I hope you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell. Also, I love talking to you guys, and I always try my very best to reply to as many comments as possible. So let me know your thoughts on Cardano, and let me know what stocks or topics you want me to talk about next in the comment section below. But with that being said, especially if you made it to this point in the video, I have so much love for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. Peace.